Silver was about to do some workout when he suddenly heard a voice behind him. Hey, Silver, are you gonna do some workout? He turned and saw it was Whisper the Wolf. Oh, hi, Whisper. Yeah, I was about to do some workout. You wanna join me? Yeah, I was actually looking for a spot to do some workout. She smiled and stood next to him, and they started to do their workout together. It had been a year since Whisper actually moved to New Mobotropolis. They were actually very good friends, and while they were doing the workouts, they were just small talking about some past adventures, some childhood memories, and all. You know, ever since we managed to defeat Dr. Eggman, Mobius has been quite peaceful. Yeah, right? Sometimes some magazine is too peaceful and, get a bit too boring. Well, it's it has its moments, though I do miss fighting against some bad guy from time to time, but I would rather prefer more peaceful living, being in a without being a constant fear of like Doctor Eggman's return or other villains attacking us. Yeah, I understand that. Ever since I moved here, I have made so many new friends, and it has been just a great time, hasn't it? Oh yeah, it has. And while they were talking and doing their workout, Whisper then thought of something. You know, I know that you are from the future, like a few hundred years. Don't you sometimes miss to go back to the future? Um, it happens that I do miss to go back in the future, but I have made so many good friends here, and to be honest, the future I am from doesn't even exist anymore. Yeah, I understand that some of the basic timeline changes when you prevent some big disaster. Yeah, so even though I want to go back to the future, I have actually got used to living here. I mean, it's much more peaceful than I was used to. And to be honest, I have no idea how much my future is even like. Well, I mean, you would have had to be born, otherwise you would have been here. That's true, but still, yeah, but I do miss the future sometimes, at least. Not the future I was originally from. Silver had told Whisper a few times about how the future looked like for him before the timeline had changed. How the big city that he would used to live in was in ruins, and it was lava flows all over, and it was extremely hot all over, and it was not the ideal place to live, he said, while comparing to his future to New Mobotropolis. After they had been working out for about 2 hours, they decided just to end, and then Silver asked if she was hungry. She nodded and said that she was a little bit hungry after that workout. He suggested that they could go to the small diner nearby to just grab something to eat and continue the conversation. She nodded and had no other plans to do, so they went there. As they were sitting there, they were just enjoying the conversation in each other's company. But there was one other topic that suddenly brought up from Whisper. Ever since I've been here for about a year, yeah, and you have been here a little bit longer than I have. Mm-hmm. Have you ever, you know, found someone to be dating? That question took him quite a surprise because he was having a drink when he's like, "What? Me dating? Um, well, I wouldn't say dating itself, more like being before even Dr. Eggman was defeated. There were well, I didn't expect there would be any much time to be dating someone. I mean." not knowing when he will planning for his next scheme or his new attack, and it could happen any time. Especially if I was on a date and I had to be in the end of the date shortly or even early during the middle of the, like during dinner or something, and or a picnic. Whisper nodded and said, "Yeah, that would have been both awkward and also a little bit frustrated to the girl that you've been dating. But I think she might have actually understood if she knew that you were one of the big heroes. True, but if I had wanted to be honest here, I wish that I could find someone to actually to be dating. I just haven't found it much the right time for that. I mean, during the time when Eggman was still around, it was just difficult to even to find enough time for even start dating anyone, even if it was just casual or even serious. There were times that I was thinking I wanted to ask some girl to even to start dating, but when at the time that when Eggman started attacking, I had to leave early. Sometimes when I get back here, I had to rest for a while and maybe help around others to prepare for any potential attack from Eggman or any of his, minions and all. It was one of those toughest times for me. Even when just before we defeated him permanently, I was actually considered start dating one of the freedom fighters. Really? Yeah, I did ask her out. What did she say? Asked Whisper, a bit gentle smile. Well, she did say yes, but what happened? Well, we were on a date when we received the message that Eggman had attacked a small village not far from New Metropolis, and they needed some backup. Sonic told me and a few others that we needed to respond fast. And this was just during the dinner date what I had, or at least lunch date I have with my love interest, what some what you call it. And she did understood. I promised that I would be back just before, you know, evening, and perhaps we can just go out, have a small dinner date instead. So we did. But even though I went back, we did have a dinner date, and we don't know a few more dates. And just before that, I was thinking to even ask her to be my official girlfriend. Something bad happened. What happened? Well, Eggman's attacks were sometimes frequent, sometimes at random, and uh, and eventually she couldn't even handle it anymore. Even though I tried to tell her that I could be responsible for Eggman's attacks all the time, and since I'm one of the fighters of the freedom fighters, I mean I had to be responding to help my friends. At first she understood that, but in the end, well, we were only dating for just about a month or so. And then she just told me out of the blue that she is leaving New Metropolis, moving far away from any of these attacks so that she can live more peaceful. She just got tired of living in constant fear that Eggman will focus on his major attack on the New Metropolis, and uh, and you understand what that. Did you even try to tell her that it wasn't even your fault and that the others are trying to do the best to keep the city safe? Yeah, I mean, I tried several times, but it didn't matter. I mean, I couldn't force her to stay. On that day, she just told me to just be happy one day that I will find someone that I will actually be with. Someone would understand and all. So she and a few others left the town, and I haven't even heard or seen her since. Did you love her? I started to have some quite serious feelings for her, but after that happened, I decided to put dating on the side until we have defeated Eggman permanently, or at least somehow. Wow, that's kind of sucks, don't you think? Yeah, so that's why. But now that it has been a while since he was defeated, and but still, I hadn't even decided if I even wanted to date anyone yet. What about you? Did you date anyone? No, it's pretty much the same thing as for you. Ever since when I moved here, even before then, I was I was in a short time relationship with some guy, but due to the fact of Eggman's constant attacks and his robot minions attacking all over the planet, it was like we had to be in a constant concern, fear. We were even living in a one small village until it was completely annihilated by Eggman's robots, and well, there were no casualties, unfortunately. Fortunately, though, so we decided to just move on to another small place, and we lived there in peace for I don't know, a couple of weeks until it was attacked again, and that was we had enough. Well, at least he had enough, and that he didn't want to constant moving around, and so he ended. I lived there for a little bit longer until I decided to move here. At least New Mobotropolis has more stronger defenses than many of the Fear Fighters. Oh yeah, that's true. But I couldn't understand why that many are, you know, feared of being in a constant attack so from Eggman. But now he's gone. True. So, is there anyone that you probably wanted to date? Asked Whisper. Hmm, I don't know actually. I mean, I don't have any particular, preference for anyone to actually be my type. As long as she is strong, funny, that's all. And of course, a good cook. What about you? Oh, um, I want someone who is pretty much the same. Good fighter, funny, perhaps even a good cook, or just, but mostly to have be funny. Then suddenly, Silver then asked, "Do you perhaps, maybe, want to go out with me?" Okay, that was out of the blue, but are you sure? Yeah. I mean, we had known each other for a while, and I trust you. And you're funny to hang around with, so why not? Whisper wasn't sure exactly if she would say yes, but eventually she did say yes. They decided to go out that same evening to a restaurant in town. So they decided to meet there around 7 p.m. In the evening, they actually met up at this restaurant, and when he saw her in this blue dress, he was blown minded. Wow, you look stunning. Thanks. You don't look so bad yourself. Thanks. Ready to go? Mm-hmm. So they actually went inside and they ordered their meals and start talking, and there was not like any awkward between them. The conversations was fluid, went fluidly without any particular problem. And even afterwards, they actually took us a short walk together in town before he followed her home, or at least escorted her home so that she came home safe. But there wasn't much until like later on until they decided to make it official. They had both agreed they shouldn't be a couple right away because they wanted to wait and see if there was any a spark actually between them. They wouldn't even want to force each other being in a relationship since they were being lonely for a while. But after about 2 months of casual dating, they realized they had some such strong feelings for each other, so they wanted to be with each other. So they made it official. And not long after, Silver had told both Tails, Sonic, and even Sally about his relationship with Whisper. They were all supportive. Really good man, Dad. You're really good at made a good choose, said Sonic. Silver, you've really made a really good choice, said Sally. Thanks, since you two are also engaged, said Silver. And he was right. Silver was right. Sonic and Sally have been engaged for about 2 years now, and they were planning to get married within a year, and he was happy for it. But there was still times that even Silver didn't see Whisper as often, since she was working now as a technician along with Tails. She was very technical skills and she was quite bright. She was quite smart. So she often helped both Rotor and Tails with some technical upgrades, inventions, and other things. And then Silver was working as a martial art trainer or his instructor at a local gym. So they had their own business, or at least their own jobs, but they always made time for each other during the week, or some most of the time in the weekends. But there were times even that Silver was wondering if this was gonna be a long-term relationship. But then, after being dating for about 2 years, he was now 21 and Whisper were 23 years old. He took her to the same restaurant where they had their first dinner date, and when they were having their dessert, he actually walked up to her, went on a knee, and proposed to her. He told her how much he really cared and loved her. She was crying, but it was happy tears. She said yes immediately. She was more than happy to be with Silver, who has been treating her so much kindness and so much respect and always cheer her up when she had a bad day or was just simply had was having a other bad day or just feeling down. They decided to have the wedding at the new palace, and Sonic was been asked to be Silver's best man, and Bunny Rabbit had been asked to be Whisper's maid of honor, and of course Tails to be the ring bearer. They were just happy. And the ceremony was quite small. They decided to only had a few friends and some other people they wanted to invite. They had a small ceremony afterwards in the palace garden where they just enjoyed dance, enjoyed the food. They later went to another place, a small town nearby, for their honeymoon for about a week. There they just actually really enjoyed. They were happy to have finally had entered a new chapter in their lives. There were times even Silver was curious if he ever actually want to find his true love. But then, after being married for about a year, both Silver and Whisper wanted to start their own family. So, they actually started trying, and eventually, they learned they were expecting their first child, a daughter, and they even had informed their friends, and they were all happy. Both Sally and Sonic was actually made as the godparents to the daughter. They learned they were having a daughter. And then the day came when a daughter was finally born. They named their wolf hedgehog daughter Alicia. And while she was growing up, she started showing quite a bit interest in technology. In fact, she was even smart. Sometimes she even went along with her mom to her work to learn more about maintenance, technology, and other things. And eventually, she followed her mother's footsteps into be a technician. And at some point, she even got married herself and later have two daughters. 2 years later, they had a wolf daughter, which they named Molly. Molly was quite shy when she was growing up, but she really had such great passion for cooking. So both her parents showed her so many different recipes, which sparked an interest on her to open her own restaurant one day. And when she was old enough, she actually even went to a culinary school to learn more about cooking, to even earn her license to open a restaurant. And eventually, she did. She was really happy to have fulfilled her dream to own her own restaurant. At some point, she even got married and even had two sons of her own. 3 years later, they had a hedgehog son, which they named Silver Jr. While he was growing up, he learned to be quite talented in swimming. And one day, when he was very young, he saw how a lifeguard saved a child from drowning. That somehow had a huge impact in his life. He wanted to be a lifeguard himself one day. So, throughout his entire childhood, he practiced and practiced in swimming, how to be fast, and also be able to dive deep, and also how to perform CPR and other measures. And eventually, when he was old enough, he actually was able to start working as a lifeguard in New Metropolis. He was happy to able to fulfill his dream. And at some point, he even got married and have two sons and one daughter of his own. There were times, even when Silver was often wondered if he would ever find the one he's gonna be with forever. Especially when he was temporarily dating someone a while back, but knowing that she couldn't even handle that anymore and left. That somehow broke his heart, so he decided to put dating on the side for a while. But when he started dating Whisper, somehow it sparked a deep within his heart. Even for Whisper, when she was traveling around constantly with her ex-boyfriend, with the constant fear and attacks of Eggman's robots, which eventually led them to break up. But when she settled down in New Metropolis, she felt it is more safer. And to finally be start dating Silver was something else. He was far different from her ex-boyfriend. Kind, funny, smart. In fact, she couldn't even imagine a life without Silver in her life. So ever since then, she was happy to finally have found her true love. And now they are both happy to have 3 children and 7 grandchildren in their lives. And this is how Whisper the Wolf, Silver the Hedgehog, and a true love got a big family together. The end.